Remember, every being is divine and has that essence within them. I wanted to share with you, July 1st, Daily Word had their 100th anniversary. Some of you have read it for years, some of you have not. But 100 years ago, the affirmation was, God in me is my light and my understanding. Today it might say, Spirit in me, my higher power is my light and my understanding. And I believe that was absolutely true then, and it's still true today. When we can find that essence, I call it a quantum field often, this movement of spirit that happens in us, we find answers, and we find that we tie into the wisdom of the universe and to each other. And so in just a moment, we're going to spend a few minutes in meditation, but remember that meditation is anchoring ourselves in a higher knowing, a larger story, and remembering that that presence is within us this day.
Come to the healing waters, come to the beautiful sea. Come to the healing waters, Spirit waiting and you are free. Wash off the dust of the ages, lay your heavy burden down, like the shield of an age-old warrior, forgotten beneath the ground. Come to the healing waters, come to the beautiful stream. Come to the healing waters, Spirit waiting and you are free.
This invitation, a universal invitation, turn within and come to the healing waters. As we breathe in fully and relax our bodies, letting go of cares and concerns and simply turning within. I come to the healing waters. I feel Spirit moving within me, as me now. With every breath, I am one with Spirit. I am one with love. Vibrant life moves through my being. I am that I am in the silence, in the silence. Moment by moment, I allow a cellular remembering of these healing waters, of the essence of love that lives as me now. And I simply say, here I am, infinite Spirit, move through me. And so it is. Amen.
Be as a child in the water, open your heart to God's love. Let the Spirit of the water fill you up in the water and the sky above. The water is always here to dig down deep. Let the water wash away your troubles. Flow easy on down to the sea. Come to the healing waters. Come to the beautiful stream. Come to the healing waters. Spirit's waiting and you are free. Spirit's waiting and you are free.
In a world that only I know, it's a place where only I go. There's a child in me you can't see, a light of hope, she's brave and free. It's your voice, your stage, tell the truth about the change and unity too. If we stand for peace, we have won. Sing me songs with freedom's drum. We are just heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Living life, a precious flame. We are just heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Free at last, sing it again. If you go within, are you proud? Do you stand for peace in the crowd? With an open heart, do you see equal people, brave and free? There's a place where only you go. In the days where fear takes its toll, there's a child in you I can see. Your light of hope will set you free. We are just heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Living life, a precious flame. We are just heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Free at last, sing it again. We are just heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Living life, a precious flame. We are all heartbeats of a time. Sing it out like a child. We are one, no two the same. Free at last, sing it again. Free at last, sing it again.
Wow, Leah, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our music team at Leah. Thank you for bringing those gifts. Wow. Anybody feel like one of the heartbeats? We are all searching for this idea of freedom, and what does it mean individually to us, and what does it mean in our journey, in our world? Who are we, and how do we find what I'm calling today a breath of freedom? Because we celebrated, 248 years of what we've called freedom in this country. And of course, many of us this past week, many of us have woken up over and over and over again to a realization that there's different levels of freedom. How many people as a 5-year-old just thought, of course the country's free. I live in the best place around. Okay, we have 2. We have, we have. And part of waking up is beginning to see stories, and this is evolution. This is an evolutionary journey. Part of this is realizing, oh, wait a minute, I wasn't aware when the Stonewall riots went on. I wasn't aware that people had finally said, there's enough in me that no, they can't do that anymore. I'm more than that, and they were able to stand in that. And so a lot of us were raised with this idea that freedom's right here. And we already have that, so let's go on and figure out what else we can do. And of course, now as we wake up, we're also realizing that a lot of the commerce and a lot of the other things that we did created their own difficulties. And we're dealing with climate change and global warming, and so we're learning and getting to both begin part of this evolutionary journey. And I got here, and Alan said he's on page 102, and I said in this wonderful book, Finding Radical Wholeness by Ken Wilber, and I said, oh, I'm on part of that, but I'm also sneaking forward and going to the shadow times because I want to know what the answers are. And it's so funny because he said it still involves waking up. We're not there yet. And I thought, oh no, I thought we were done with that. And then his next step is growing up. That part of the journey, we can wake up and we can be able to say everything that's wrong. Anybody got that one down really well? First of all, what I realize now is that also means I'm probably not woken up all the way. I've gotten to this place, and then it's the next step and the next step. And how do we walk through that? And how do we find who we are, what we are, and a spiritual freedom that allows us to take the next step? Because the journey isn't over. It's just begun. And everything that's happened in our lives up until now, it can be painful or it can be greatly joyous. But it's right where it needs to be to fuel us for the next steps we are to take. And I want to go back, and I want to talk a little bit, because I kind of think, last week it was tools for the journey. I think this is tools for the journey too. But I want to go back to the premise that we started with last week, and that came from the Oneness University in India. And it's based on their teaching saying we're here for 3 things. And I've been using this. Unity said something very similar, but I really like the way they've said it. The first one is to learn, grow, and evolve spiritually. We're here to learn, grow, and evolve spiritually. And that means, that learning part means that we can't just shut our eyes to what's going on. If you haven't looked at Project 2025, if you don't know what it is and you haven't looked at it, I would invite you to do that. If you haven't looked at whether or not you're registered to vote, those are important pieces. We are get to stand in ideas. And by the way, I do believe Alice has a snapshot of the Project 2025. But the biggest piece is in Unity, we stand for a belief that there is a divine wholeness in every being. And that is a spiritual belief that is being asked globally for societies to move into. Have you noticed any difficulties with doing that? I used to believe that our evolution would happen in 20 years and we'd be done with this. Guess what? We are on a sacred path. And all of us, wherever we are, we're the players and the beings. So to learn, to grow, and to evolve spiritually is part of it. And wherever we are is the invitation to evolve spiritually through. And I know many of us would like to exchange it for somebody else's evolution spiritually. But right where it is, that's what it is. The second thing is we're here to serve, to be used by Spirit to make a difference. We are here to serve humanity. We belong to each other. And wherever you are, however you grew up, whether you were made to believe you belonged as a human being, you do right now. Just as you are right now, you are a creation of spirit. You are around creations of spirit. And what Ken Wilber says is where we're going is to know our wholeness. That's the evolutionary journey we're on. And to not believe we're parts. And then to see parts over there and parts over there. And we will get there. And the third one is, and they believe their ultimate reason, we are here for oneness. Oneness with God, oneness with all, oneness with everything that is. And when you take those words, and I want to talk about truth for a moment again, because how we get individual freedom is we find the truth in us, the highest truth we know, and we walk with it. We don't just walk with it when it's easy. We can get really good at that. We walk with it every day. And if we just need to sit, I was curled up on my bed, just holding the truth that I knew. I actually had the daily word wrapped like this after that court decision. And I was just like, there's more to humanity than this. I can't force it. But somewhere I have to live it. And when I don't find the highest truth in my life, individually, so we're evolving individually, collectively, and globally. We're a part of that. So truth, we talked about, Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And that's a powerful idea, but I want to share with you something from the revelations of the Aramaic Jesus. When we go into the Aramaic language, I just want to share with you what some of these words meant. Because we haven't heard it and we haven't seen it. But this is what, and this is Neil Douglas Klotz. And he said, when or if Jesus said these words, and we're always remembering that the Bible was written, the earliest was written, parts of it were written 80 years after he lived. There's a good chance he said these words because of how they're repeated and how they're written and all the other pieces. But when or if Jesus said these words, he said them in Aramaic. Aramaic is one of the several ancient Semitic languages rooted in thousands of years of Southwest Asian nomadic experience. In Jesus' Aramaic, the word for truth, shrara, and shrara is a word, it means a light or a clarity coming from the heart that leads one in the right direction for the moment. A light or a clarity from the heart that leads one in the right direction for the moment. Now, Webster didn't get that definition. But I want you to recognize, so when we say you shall know the truth, it's a light or a clarity, and it's an idea that is large enough that it will take us in that direction. Then people who traveled seasonally without any permanent dwelling concerned themselves with finding such a light, an inner GPS. The word know, which is yida in Aramaic, means to grasp or hold something in one's hands so that you can use it. The word for free, which is nashar, points to burning or leaving things behind that one no longer needs. Through Aramaic, we can hear this saying tell us, if you find a light emanating from the heart, it will lead you in the right direction. You'll know what to hold on to and what to release. So he's not talking about believing just an idea, but instead it's a way of living freely from within with a sense of divine guidance. So where is that in our world? So we're being asked to find a light from within, and that is the freedom that will take us in the direction we need to go for that time. It will change. Truth, while it is an underlying idea, it is revealed as we continue the sacred journey. So what does that mean to us? Where do we go with that? Finding freedom in the face of fear is part of it. Finding the ability to take another step when we think, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. How do I show up? And right now in our country, we are in those times. And one thing I know is that we can fight the outer, or we can move to the inner and stand in an idea. And it does not mean we don't fight. It means it's a light that guides from within. When we know that we know that we know that every being has that divine aspect within them, which, by the way, means we got to accept it in ourselves. And so part of the individual work we're being asked to do is to find that light in ourselves and accept it. No excuses, no other path. It's there. And then we get to take a truth, a light that will guide us. And we get to hold it in our hands and take the steps we're called to take, whether we understand them or not. What does this mean? You know, Richard Rohr says, human consciousness does not emerge at any depth except through struggling with our shadow. It is in facing our own contradictions that we grow. It is in the struggle with our shadow self, with failure or with wounding, that we break into higher levels of consciousness. People who learn to expose, name, and still thrive inside contradictions are what I would call prophets. We're called to be prophets. And we're called to do it in a place where we've got to get to a place where we don't allow what's happening out there to take every bit of energy and every bit of essence that we have. We are more than what happens. Does not mean we do not agree with it, that we agree with what's happening. It means we got to find a place in ourselves that says, I am more than this. And you are more than this. And as we do, we continue meeting it with that. Part of that's prayer. Infinite Spirit, show me what I'm to know this day that I may not have seen. Where am I bound to ideas or thoughts or things? Because when we find it, we get to know a larger way. Freedom in the Face of Fear spiritual teacher Andrew Cohen and integral philosopher Ken Wilber discuss one of the most significant spiritual challenges of our time, staying connected to a higher perspective even when major difficulties are all around us. How do I believe and take a step when what is out there doesn't look like the direction I want us to go? I don't have all those answers. But I know that we are called to know the truth, to find a light that guides us, and to take the steps we're guided to take. And as we do, we find a strength. David Hawkins was so clear, the power of spirit will always win over force. Always. But that arc, we don't know how long it is. One of the places I would love to say, I know, wouldn't it be nice to say this will end on this date? And yet that's not always what happens. Do you know, in Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth, one of Unity's basic books, now she was part of the fight for women to vote. She was one of the early homeopaths. She had trouble getting into New York Homeopathic College because they didn't want women, but of course women showed up and she didn't leave. She was one of them that wouldn't leave. She's written some of the basics, but the first chapter is Bondage or Liberty Which? Every day we have to decide if we choose to be bound by an old story, by old ideas, or we choose freedom. And that freedom can be tough because we think, no, all is not right with the world. We've actually never lived in a time when all is right with the world. We might have been told that. If you had privilege, you might have been told that. But the truth is, we've always lived in an evolutionary world. I read a piece, and I have not checked it out, but it looks like it's pretty close, that every 6 days, a country celebrates its independence from the United Kingdom or from England. That's how many countries they had, every 6 days out of a year. We, as humanity, can now look and say, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. We don't have the answers yet, but we're waking up. And the only way we go forward is to have the courage to take another step and say, I may know it's wrong. It's not going to end my life. I'm not going to stop being who I am. I am still a creation of spirit. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And in this moment, this very human experience, I will hold the highest truth I know. And it may just simply be there's one presence and one power, God, the infinite good. I am one with God. I am one with spirit. I am one with the infinite. I'm enough for the day. But to hold that means that then we invite in a next step and a next step and a next step. And when we get waylaid and we tie, anybody bought into any of the stories and just like went around and around and around in a whirlwind of them this week? Okay, we got 3. We're still at 3. This is what happens. We aren't done with these times. I don't know why all of us said yes to being born at this time. But I know we're being asked to meet it with courage, with compassion, and with connection. And when we do, we will find that who we are is more than when we entered. It's a fascinating time. Man's Search for Meaning with Viktor Frankl. I know many of you read it in high school, in so many different times of your life, the story of the concentration camps. And some of the ideas that have come from there have just blessed me in so many ways. So the first thing we get to do is find that guiding light and take a step. In Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about the response we have. Emily Cady says, we are in bondage when we hold ideas that are too small and are outdated, and we are free when we take a larger idea and hold it. That means we can't say, I believe I'm enough. This will never work. There's no way out. There's nothing we can do. That isn't exactly holding it. You may have to pull it back a few times and say, this is my idea. I will hold it. So we learn to hold ideas, and every time we do, we're stronger, and we find more of ourselves. But Viktor Frankl said, and I know all of you have heard this, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, and that is a human. Everything can be taken from a human being but one thing, the last of the human freedom, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. To choose one's own way. That's where we are. We are learning to choose a way. And that way, I know, does not leave love out. We have got to breathe in the realization that love will move us forward. This may not look like love. I may not agree with it. But love of myself, of humanity, of the ability to take another breath this day will take us forward. It will take us where we need to go. What we get to do then is to breathe in a larger knowing and walk further. He goes on, and this was, and part of it, he said, our day-to-day existence, and he's describing his day-to-day existence, and it's not easy to read. I read this every single year. It has been a life-changing essence for me as I learned that man's search for meaning, finding meaning in what we do, is what allowed people to survive in the concentration camps. Finding meaning. There's meaning in what I do this day. Every time I take an idea that says you're not enough and I say no, that will no longer be true for me, I have a meaning that's larger than I may realize, and I make a difference in the collective consciousness of humanity. That's what we're doing. But he said he got to a point where everything was about how can I get enough food? How can I get enough of this? How can I get enough of this? And how can I not, be beaten or be this? And because he was in one of the work camps. And he said, I finally decided that would not be my life. I may have to do what they want me to do, but that will not be my life. And he said what came out was during these awful times, he began seeing himself speaking to a room full of people, actually wanting to hear what he had to say. He didn't believe that that would actually happen when he started it, but he said it gave him a moment of breath. It gave him a moment that he could see something more. And when people didn't believe there was something more than this, they succumbed to it. Our journey right now is one of connecting with each other, of beginning to love ourselves and love those around us. And we might say, not now, we don't have time for that. We don't have time not to. It's one to remember we walk together. It's one to stand strong in an idea and hold it and show up. Everywhere we have an idea of showing up. And if you don't know what to do, ask Alice. She'll give you enough letters to write just to simply say, will you vote? Will you step into your times? I'm really glad she didn't go hanging signs on bridges this year or this election cycle, because that's where she kept sneaking off to last time. And I was like, Alice, please tell me you're not on a ladder hanging over a bridge. And she said, let's just say I'm a helper. And that's, it's like, what do we do? How do we touch it? I would say this, look at a person around you and say, how do I help them find a belief that's larger than they might have right now? How do I say, you are a light. You are so much more. That may be the journey we're on. I know this, when many of these beings, when Pierre Teilhard Chardin wrote all of his books about literally the phenomenon of humankind and the consciousness we have and the love of this planet that is present and is the only known thing. None of his works were published till after he passed away because the Catholic Church wouldn't allow it. But he has transformed just about every New Thought speaker I know, his works. The works we do are ones that create a path. And it may just be today, put one foot in front of the other. And Viktor Frankl said we often ask the wrong question. It's not, when will this be over? And if we're asking that question, he said, we're asking the wrong one. Instead, it's, what will I learn from this? And when he changed his question in a concentration camp, from when will this be over, it's too much, to I wonder what I'll learn from this, his life changed. And I believe all of us will change as we know what we'll learn is the next highest truth, the truth that we are more than we think. We are more than we've been told. And as society takes on this sacred idea that every being is whole, infinite, and complete, we will change that world. It's just a day, a moment, a breath at a time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, and we have the wonderful opportunity of receiving our tithes and our love offerings. One of the ways that I've learned, and my daughters often know, is that breathing has been a sacred practice for eons. The ability to just breathe in and accept a truth that's larger than we know and simply regulate our nervous system, our bodies. In just a moment, as we receive these tithes and these love offerings, and I know there's a sheet up here if you'd like to find different ways to give. That sheet's also in the back of your chair. What we're doing is making an investment into something larger, into a consciousness that says we are all one. We all have these ideas within us. And our blessing is divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And just know you are that divine love. Thank you.
majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
We'd like you to sing the second verse with us.
Genius and immigrant, our daughters and our sons. Oh, may we never rest content till all are truly free. America, America, God will that we may be a sisterhood and brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God will that we may be a sisterhood and brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
So moving.
Did you write those words?
No,
Did you?
I think that's where we got it from last year.
Anyway,
They're
thank
amazing.
you, thank you. I knew that as you may have noticed, Unity takes great license or great freedom in changing stories because we don't always agree with the words or the stories, and I just encourage you to do that with your lives, to have the courage to say, you know what, you may say that, but the truth is I'm something more than that, and I don't fit into that category or that idea, and none of us do. Right now, I wanted to let you know we're going to sing our youth in. They're not up here yet, but I wanted to share with you. We sent 10 7 to 11-year-olds to camp last week. That is just magnificent. Thank you all. And those kids, while they probably aren't here, because I don't think they got home till, I don't even remember what day they got home, but I saw Barbara run through on one of those days. But they were filled and mentored by our teens who spent the whole time, their job is to let them know that they are whole, infinite, and complete, and loved just as they are. And that ability for kids to gather and that idea is so powerful. We have 2 teens and an adult that are on an airplane now flying to Kansas City, Missouri for the International Youth of Unity Conference. So they are going there also, where they have the ability to remember it in themselves. And I just thank all of you for being a part. All of the fundraising that we do goes for these events and these ideas, and it's transformative. It is absolutely transformative. So I don't know if we have any kids or not. We have a connection hour downstairs after the service, and I invite all of you to be a part of that. Sometimes you say, well, I don't know anybody. I don't know what to do. I don't know. But sometimes we just need to say hello because somebody needs to have their eyes, someone look directly into their eyes and say, hello, you make a difference in our world. Sometimes that's a service we're doing, is simply recognizing another being. And so I will figure out if we have any kids or not. If not, Beth, there are kids. Oh, that's right, you're here. There have to be kids. Okay. There have to be. Do we? They're coming, all right. Part of that ability to be a part of serving humanity includes, just a minute, includes our kids. So I invite you to encircle this room, this walkway right here, with the energy of love that is the truth of who you are, and to know that truth for every one of these beings just as they are.
You are the star of the morning. You are heaven smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. That's how we love you. That's how we love you. You are the star of the morning. You are heaven smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Gina.
We have babies downstairs. They are coming. Okay. All right.
No, that's okay.
So today we have some friends who went to kids camp this last week who are going to share what they liked about kids camp. All right.
Oh, you did your shirt, didn't you? You want them to see the shirts. So building belonging.
Okay. Can you see all their shirts? Go ahead. One thing you liked about camp.
My name is Ivy, and one thing I liked about camp was the songs.
Hi, my name is Pippa, and one thing I liked about, one thing I liked about camp was the songs and the pool.
My name is Meadow, and one of the things that I liked was going on the slip and slide.
My name is Ryan, and I also like this inside.
All I know is we delivered 10 kids. We brought 10 kids back, which is a good thing. And there were some tired eyes, but really happy faces. And so I think they all had a really good time. Will you go back? Okay.
Hi, I'm just here to say thank you for Kids Camp. Our counselors, Sahel, Aurora, and Liana had a great time. They have other names. I don't know what they are. I bet the Kids Camp counselors do. Do you remember what their names are?
What was your name?
There was Pancake, Pop-Tart, Farfalle, Gibbon, Stringazi, Gorilla, Lemur, Cavatappi, Portobello, Puff.
There were more there than I thought.
They pick families and they go on a theme like mushrooms, and wasn't there Lego? And yeah, so I got corrected every time I called them their actual names. So also blessings to Elizabeth, who went with Aurora and Sahel to Unity Village. Nick also got on the same flight. And we want to tell you about the t-shirts.
Hi, I'm David, and we're selling these t-shirts like back there, and they're like $20, and they're $10 for a while yours.
Okay, and we have our middle schoolers here. So good to have you here. No, I won't make you talk unless you want to. We're happy to have you here. And when do you guys go to camp? They don't know. I'm not going to ask. All right, we get to stand as a community and hold that space for peace on our planet.
Here we go.
Yes, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. We're going to join together in our unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right, we're going to sing our youth out with, I don't know what.
Thank you for this day. 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 Thank you for this day.